Have you ever touched something and felt your entire body recoil? A sponge left in the sink too long. The texture of velvet when you're not expecting it. A surface with tiny holes that makes your skin crawl for no logical reason. And then there's food. The way certain textures make you gag before you even taste them. Mushrooms, oysters, the skin on pudding. Your body screams no before your brain understands why. If this sounds familiar, it's not because you're picky, it's not because you're difficult. It's your insula, a small region deep inside your brain detecting what it thinks is poison. And it's doing its job too well. I'm your host, and this is Anatomy of Fear. In the time we have together, you're going to understand exactly why your insula has become hyperactive, why certain textures, foods, and even moral situations trigger that visceral disgust response. And more importantly, you're going to learn the 21-day protocol that rewires this circuit completely. This isn't exposure therapy. This is neuroscience-based neural reconsolidation. And by the end of this video, you'll have a step-by-step plan to reduce disgust sensitivity by up to 67%. Let's start with a question. Think about the last time you felt genuine disgust. Not fear, disgust. That specific feeling of wanting to remove yourself, to spit something out, to scratch your own skin. What triggered it? Was it a texture? A food? A smell? Or was it something moral? Witnessing an injustice, seeing someone betrayed. Here's what most people don't know. Your brain processes all of these the same way. Meet your insula. It's a small region hidden deep in the folds of your brain, tucked between your temporal and frontal lobes. For decades, neuroscientists ignored it, but in the last 5 years, we've discovered something remarkable. Your insula is the bridge between your body and your emotions. It maps your internal state, your heartbeat, your digestion, your gut feelings, literally. And when it detects something that doesn't belong, it creates the feeling we call disgust. Before we go deeper, do this right now. Take your right hand and place it on your left forearm, just above the wrist. Now slowly drag your fingertips up toward your elbow. Feel the texture of your own skin, the tiny hairs, the temperature. What do you feel? Most people feel neutral or slightly comforted. But if you felt a shiver of discomfort, if your body wanted to pull away, that's your insula signaling. You're not broken, you're just more sensitive, and now you know. That quick test told you something important. Your insula is constantly scanning your body and your environment for signs of contamination. For millions of years, this saved our ancestors from eating rotten meat or touching poisonous plants. Disgust evolved as a survival mechanism. But here's the problem. In the modern world, your insula can't tell the difference between actual poison and a slightly weird texture. It's running ancient software in a world it wasn't designed for. A 2026 study from Harvard tracked people with high disgust sensitivity using fMRI. When shown images of trypophobia triggers, clusters of holes, their insula lit up like a Christmas tree. But here's what surprised researchers. The same region activated when they were shown images of immoral acts, cheating, betrayal, cruelty. The insula responded identically. This means your brain literally processes moral disgust and physical disgust through the same neural circuitry. Think about that for a moment. When someone betrays your trust, your brain treats it like you've eaten something rotten. When you see injustice, your insula reacts as if you've touched something contaminated. The metaphor, "that leaves a bad taste in my mouth," isn't a metaphor, it's neurology. This is why highly sensitive people often experience both intense physical disgust and intense moral sensitivity. It's the same circuit running hot. Stanford University published a breakthrough study in 2025. They identified a specific protocol that reduces insula hyperactivity by 67% in just 21 days. Not medication, not avoidance. A targeted neural reconsolidation protocol that literally rewires how your insula responds to triggers. Today, I'm going to walk you through that protocol, step by step. Before we continue, let's diagnose where you are. Which of these describes you best? 1. Physical disgust. Textures make you recoil. Certain foods trigger nausea. 2. Moral disgust. Injustice and betrayal feel physically sickening. 3. Both. You experience intense reactions to both physical and moral triggers. 4. Neither. You rarely experience strong disgust responses. Comment your number below. This helps you understand which insula pathway is most active in your brain. The numbers you just chose tell us something important. If you selected 1 or 3, your insula has learned to over-respond to physical triggers. If you selected 2 or 3, your insula has generalized to moral triggers as well. And if you selected 4, your insula might actually be underactive, which comes with its own challenges. Here's what the Stanford researchers discovered. The insula learns through a process called prediction error. Your brain constantly predicts what you'll experience. When reality matches prediction, nothing changes. When reality differs, especially when something disgusting happens unexpectedly, your insula updates its model. This is why the first time you bite into an oyster and it feels wrong, your disgust response strengthens. Your brain predicted one texture and got another. The mismatch creates a learning signal, and your insula says, note to self, oysters are dangerous. But here's the beautiful thing. This learning works in both directions. You can create positive prediction errors. You can teach your insula that things you thought were disgusting are actually safe. Let me give you an example from the Stanford study. They worked with people who had severe food texture aversions. Mushrooms were a common trigger. The spongy texture, the way they break apart in your mouth. For these participants, even looking at a mushroom triggered insula activation and nausea. The protocol didn't start with eating mushrooms. It started with something much smaller. Week 1, they simply looked at high-quality images of mushrooms while practicing slow, deliberate breathing. Not avoidance, controlled exposure. Their insula activated at first, but over several days, the activation decreased. Their brain began to learn, looking at a mushroom doesn't make me sick. This is the foundation of neural reconsolidation. You activate the circuit, then you provide new information that contradicts the old prediction. Week 2, they moved to handling mushrooms, touching them, feeling the texture with their fingers while continuing the breathing protocol. For some, this was intensely uncomfortable, but here's what the fMRI showed. Each time they touched a mushroom without getting sick, their insula updated its prediction. The danger signal weakened, the safety signal strengthened. Week 3, they tasted small pieces of cooked mushroom in a safe environment. Not a full meal, just tiny amounts. And by the end of the 3rd week, 67% of participants could eat mushrooms without significant disgust. Their insula had been rewired. This is the power of the 21-day protocol. It's not willpower, it's neural reconsolidation. Now let's look at the neuroscience of why 21 days matters. A 2024 study from UCL tracked insula activity during a 21-day exposure protocol. They found that neuroplasticity follows a predictable curve. Days 1 to 7, high activation, high discomfort. Days 8 to 14, activation begins to decrease as new predictions form. Days 15 to 21, the new pattern stabilizes. 3 weeks is the minimum time for your brain to build a new predictive model. But here's what most people get wrong. They try exposure without technique. They force themselves to confront triggers while their body is in full panic mode. This does the opposite of what you want. It reinforces the disgust response because your brain learns, I touched that thing and I felt terrible. The technique matters as much as the exposure. The Stanford protocol has 3 specific components that must happen together. First, controlled exposure at the right intensity. Not too easy, that doesn't create learning. Not too hard, that reinforces fear. The sweet spot is what researchers call the optimal prediction error, about 30 to 40% discomfort. Second, slow diaphragmatic breathing throughout the exposure. This keeps your parasympathetic nervous system engaged. Third, cognitive reappraisal, consciously telling yourself, this is uncomfortable, but I am safe. A 2026 study from Current Biology added another piece to this puzzle. They found that the insula has direct connections to your gut microbiome. Your gut bacteria actually communicate with your insula through the vagus nerve. When your gut microbiome is imbalanced, your insula becomes more reactive. This means your disgust sensitivity isn't just in your head, it's in your gut too. And it means dietary changes can support neural reconsolidation. The researchers identified specific foods that calm insula activity. Fermented foods like kimchi and yogurt, which support healthy gut bacteria, omega-3 fatty acids, which reduce neural inflammation, and foods rich in tryptophan, which supports serotonin production. This is why the 21-day protocol includes dietary recommendations. You're rewiring from both directions, brain and gut. Now let's talk about moral disgust, because this affects many of you. When you witness injustice, betrayal, or cruelty, your insula activates just as strongly as with physical disgust. For highly sensitive people, this can be debilitating. Watching the news becomes physically painful. Learning about corporate corruption triggers nausea. The same protocol works for moral disgust, but with one crucial difference. With physical disgust, you're exposing yourself to the actual trigger. With moral disgust, you're exposing yourself to representations of the trigger, news stories, discussions of injustice, while practicing the same techniques. The goal isn't to become numb to injustice. The goal is to stop your body from reacting as if you're personally contaminated, to care deeply without becoming physically ill. A 2025 study from Nature Neuroscience compared physical and moral disgust responses. They found that while both activate the insula, moral disgust also activates the prefrontal cortex more strongly. This means you have more cognitive control over moral disgust if you know how to use it. The protocol for moral disgust adds one element: meaning-making. You consciously reframe the injustice as information, not contamination. You tell yourself, this is wrong, but it doesn't poison me. Quick test for you. Which triggers a stronger disgust response in your body? A. Physical trigger. Certain food textures, holes, slimy surfaces. B. Moral trigger. Injustice, betrayal, cruelty. C. Both equally. D. Neither strongly. This helps you understand whether your insula sensitivity is primarily physical, moral, or generalized. Comment A, B, C, or D. The answer reveals which pathway needs more work. If you chose A, your protocol will focus on physical exposures. If you chose B, your protocol will focus on moral exposures with cognitive reappraisal. If you chose C, you'll need both. Let me walk you through the complete 21-day protocol step by step. Screenshot this. You'll need it. Week 1. Assessment and preparation. Days 1 to 7, your only job is awareness and preparation. Keep a disgust journal. Every time you feel that visceral recoil, write it down. What was the trigger? Physical or moral? How intense on a scale of 1 to 10? What happened in your body? This isn't just data collection, it's the first step in neural reconsolidation. You're teaching your brain to observe rather than fuse with the response. During week 1, also begin the breathing practice. 3 times a day, sit quietly and practice slow diaphragmatic breathing for 5 minutes. Inhale for 4 counts, exhale for 6. This trains your parasympathetic nervous system to be available during exposures. And start the dietary protocol. Add fermented foods, increase omega-3s, reduce inflammatory foods like processed sugar. Week 2, Level 1 exposure. Days 8 to 14. Begin with the lowest intensity exposures. If your trigger is physical, find images or videos of your trigger. Not the real thing yet, just representations. If your trigger is moral, find mild examples, minor injustices, not extreme cruelty. Here's the rule. Spend exactly 60 seconds with the trigger while maintaining slow breathing. Then take a 60-second break. Repeat 3 times. That's it for day 1. Each day, increase slightly. Day 2, 90 seconds of exposure. Day 3, 2 minutes. Day 4, add a second trigger. The key is staying in that 30 to 40% discomfort zone. Not too comfortable, that's not learning. Not too intense, that's re-traumatizing. If your discomfort exceeds 7 out of 10, you've gone too far. Step back. This isn't about suffering, it's about gentle, consistent exposure. Week 3, Level 2 exposure. Days 15 to 21, move to real-world exposures if possible. If your trigger is food textures, handle the actual food. If it's moral, discuss the trigger with a trusted person while maintaining your breathing. The Stanford research shows that week 3 is when the neural shift happens. Days 1 to 14 are preparation. Days 15 to 21 are when the new predictions actually consolidate. Here's what the fMRI looks like during week 3. In the first 2 weeks, your insula still activates strongly, but the activation decreases faster. In week 3, the peak activation itself decreases. Your brain has learned, this trigger isn't as dangerous as I thought. By day 21, for most people, the trigger still registers, but it no longer hijacks your body. Let me tell you about Sarah, a participant in the Stanford study. Sarah couldn't eat in restaurants because the texture of certain foods would trigger immediate nausea. She'd been this way since childhood. She'd tried exposure therapy before, but it always made things worse because she'd pushed too hard and reinforced the fear. The 21-day protocol changed everything for her. Week 1, Sarah just photographed her trigger foods and wrote about her reactions. Week 2, she started looking at the photos while doing her breathing. By day 10, she could look at a photo of mushrooms without gagging. Week 3, she went to a restaurant and ordered a dish with small amounts of her trigger foods. She didn't eat them, just had them on the plate while she ate around them. By day 19, she tasted one. By day 21, she finished the whole dish. Sarah's fMRI before the protocol showed her insula lighting up at the mere mention of certain foods. After 21 days, the activation had decreased by 63%. Not eliminated, she still noticed textures, but the visceral disgust response was gone. This is what neural reconsolidation looks like. The old circuit doesn't disappear, but a new circuit forms that can override it. Now, let's address something important. Some of you might be thinking, but my disgust response is stronger than that. I've had it my whole life. This won't work for me. Here's what the neuroscience says. The insula is plastic at any age. A 2026 study from Max Planck Institute worked with people in their 60s and 70s who'd had disgust sensitivities for decades. The 21-day protocol worked for 58% of them, slightly lower than the 67% in younger adults, but still significant. Age doesn't prevent neuroplasticity. It just means you might need more repetitions. The same principles apply: controlled exposure, parasympathetic engagement, cognitive reappraisal. Your brain can learn at any age. The key is consistency. 21 days of practice creates the initial circuit. 90 days makes it automatic. A year makes it who you are. Let's look at the specific brain changes the Stanford team measured. After 21 days, insula volume hadn't changed. That takes months. But insula connectivity had. The pathway between insula and amygdala had weakened. The pathway between insula and prefrontal cortex had strengthened. Your brain literally rerouted the information. Instead of going straight to the fear center, it started going to the thinking center first. This is crucial because it explains why the protocol works even when the trigger still feels uncomfortable. You don't have to make the trigger feel good. You just have to interrupt the automatic disgust response long enough for your prefrontal cortex to get involved. Once your prefrontal cortex is online, you have choices. You can decide how to respond instead of your insula deciding for you. 21-day challenge. Which phase would be hardest for you? Week 1. Awareness and preparation. Disgust journal. Breathing practice. Week 2. Level 1 exposure. Images, videos, mild triggers. Week 3. Level 2 exposure. Real world, higher intensity. Comment Week 1, Week 2, or Week 3. This helps you prepare mentally for where you'll need the most support. Whatever you chose, that's where you'll need to be most intentional. If Week 1 feels hardest, you might be avoiding awareness. If Week 2 feels hardest, you might be afraid of the exposure itself. If Week 3 feels hardest, you might doubt your ability to integrate the changes. All of these are normal. The protocol is designed to meet you where you are. Now let's talk about a fascinating finding from the Harvard study. They discovered that the insula doesn't just respond to actual triggers, it responds to anticipated triggers. Just thinking about a disgusting food activates your insula almost as strongly as seeing it. This means your brain rehearses disgust. You practice the response before the trigger even appears, and that rehearsal strengthens the circuit. The solution is something called anticipatory reappraisal. When you notice yourself anticipating a disgust trigger, pause and ask, what am I predicting will happen? Is that prediction accurate? What evidence do I have? This interrupts the rehearsal loop. It gives your prefrontal cortex a chance to question your insula's prediction before your body goes into full disgust mode. A participant in the UCL study used this technique with spectacular results. Every morning, she'd anticipate the disgust she'd feel during lunch. Her stomach would churn hours before food appeared. By using anticipatory reappraisal, she reduced her pre-exposure anxiety by 70% in just 2 weeks. Her brain had learned anticipation isn't the same as the actual event. This connects to something deeper, your brain's prediction machinery. Your insula doesn't just react to the world. It predicts what you'll experience and compares reality to that prediction. Disgust happens when reality violates your prediction in a negative way. The 21-day protocol works by updating your predictions. You show your brain repeatedly that the thing you thought was disgusting is actually safe. Over time, your brain updates its prediction model. Let me give you the exact protocol structure one more time, because I want you to screenshot this. Week 1, disgust journal plus breathing practice 3 times daily, plus anti-inflammatory diet. Week 2, daily 10-minute exposure sessions with level 1 triggers with breathing. Week 3, daily 15-minute exposure sessions with level 2 triggers with breathing, plus reappraisal. At the end of week 3, take a full day off, then assess your progress. Most people need 2 to 3 cycles of this protocol for complete change. A 2025 study from Columbia followed people who did 3 cycles of the 21-day protocol over 9 weeks. At the end, 81% showed significant reduction in disgust sensitivity. Their insula reactivity had decreased by an average of 52%, and these changes persisted at 6-month follow-up. This isn't a temporary fix. This is neural reconsolidation. Now, I want to address something that might be coming up for some of you. Maybe you're thinking, what if I don't want to change my disgust response? What if my sensitivity is part of who I am? That's completely valid. Disgust sensitivity isn't a disorder, it's a trait. The goal of this protocol isn't to make you someone else, it's to give you choice, to free you from automatic reactions that limit your life. If your disgust sensitivity doesn't interfere with your life, if you're happy avoiding certain textures and foods, there's no need to change. The protocol is for people who feel trapped by their responses, who want to eat with friends without anxiety, who want to engage with the world without physical recoil. The choice is yours. Neuroscience just gives you the tool. Let's look at one more study. This one from Kyoto University in 2026. They studied the evolutionary origins of disgust and found something remarkable. Different cultures have different disgust triggers, but the insula itself is universal. The hardware is the same, the software is learned. This means your disgust responses are not destiny. They were learned, and they can be unlearned. The Kyoto study compared Japanese and American participants. Americans showed stronger disgust responses to certain foods. Japanese showed stronger responses to certain social violations. Same insula, different programming. Your insula learned from your culture, your family, your experiences, and it can learn new patterns. Here's the most hopeful finding from all this research. Once you update your insula's predictions, the change tends to stick. In the Stanford study, participants were tested again at 3 months and 6 months. The 67% reduction held. Their brains had truly reconsolidated. This isn't like a diet where you regain the weight. This is like learning to ride a bike. Once your brain knows, it knows. I want you to imagine what your life could look like after 21 days of this protocol. Imagine sitting at a table with friends, eating whatever's served, without scanning for triggers. Imagine watching the news and caring deeply without feeling physically sick. Imagine touching things without recoiling. That's not magic, that's neuroplasticity. Let me give you the exact script to use during exposures. When you encounter your trigger, say this to yourself, out loud or silently. I notice this discomfort. It's just my insula doing its job. But I am safe. This cannot hurt me. I am breathing slowly. I am in control. The discomfort will pass. This script does 3 things. It labels the experience, it separates safety from discomfort, and it activates your prefrontal cortex. The labeling piece is crucial. fMRI studies show that simply naming an emotion reduces amygdala activation and increases prefrontal activation. When you say, "This is my insula," you're literally changing your brain state. Try it now. Think of your strongest disgust trigger. Say to yourself, "This is just my insula. I am safe." Notice what happens in your body. Most people feel a subtle shift. The discomfort is still there, but it's no longer overwhelming. You've created a tiny space between the trigger and your response. That space is where freedom lives. The 21-day protocol expands that space until it becomes your default. Let's talk about the science of why 21 days specifically. A 2024 meta-analysis reviewed 47 studies on neural reconsolidation. They found that 21 days is the minimum time for synaptic changes to stabilize. Shorter periods show temporary change that often reverses. Longer periods show diminishing returns. 21 days is the sweet spot, long enough for real change, short enough to maintain motivation. Here's what the daily practice looks like in real life. Wake up, 5 minutes breathing practice. Midday, 10 minutes exposure, week 2 to 3. Evening, journal about the day's exposures and reactions. Before bed, 5 minutes breathing practice. That's 30 minutes total per day, 3 weeks. That's all it takes to begin rewiring your insula. The participants in the Stanford study reported that week 2 was the hardest. The novelty of week 1 had worn off, and the real discomfort of exposure was setting in. But those who pushed through week 2 almost always succeeded in week 3. If you attempt this protocol, expect week 2 to be challenging. Prepare for it mentally, have support in place, and remind yourself daily. This discomfort is the sensation of your brain changing. Tag someone who needs this. 3 people need to see this video. 1. Someone with food texture aversions who avoids restaurants. 2. Someone who feels physically sick from injustice or betrayal. 3. Someone who thinks they're just picky but suffers silently. Tag them below. YouTube will notify them. Their healing starts with your tag. 21-day commitment. I'm asking you to make a commitment right now. Comment, "I commit," if you're ready to try the 21-day protocol. In 21 days from today, you could have a different brain. Not perfect, not trigger-free, but different. More choice, less automatic disgust. The only way to fail is not to start. Comment, "I commit," below. This commitment matters because it activates your prefrontal cortex. When you publicly state your intention, your brain treats it as more real. You're more likely to follow through. And here's something beautiful. Even if you don't complete the full 21 days, the attempt changes you. Each day of practice is a neural deposit. It adds up. Let me leave you with the words of one Stanford participant after completing the protocol. She said, "I didn't realize how much of my life I'd organized around avoiding disgust. Now I eat what I want, I touch what I want, I engage with the world without my body screaming no. I got my life back." That's what neural reconsolidation offers, not the absence of disgust, the freedom to choose. Before we close, I want to acknowledge that this protocol isn't easy. It requires facing things you've spent years avoiding. It requires sitting with discomfort when every instinct says run. But the research is clear. This is the path to change. Your insula learned to overreact through experience. It can learn to calm down through experience. You just have to give it the right kind of experience, in the right dose, with the right support. In our next episode, we move from the insula to the hippocampus. Why do some spaces feel unsafe, even when they're perfectly secure? Why do certain rooms trigger anxiety for no logical reason? We'll explore the neuroscience of spatial fear and give you the tools to reclaim any space. That's coming up on Anatomy of Fear. Your insula evolved to protect you from poison. But in the modern world, it's protecting you from textures, foods, and even ideas. Now you know how to update its software. Now you have the protocol. I'm your host, and this has been Anatomy of Fear.